Hey everybody, welcome back! Today is day 2 of focusing on Pinestar. The scene that Rachel's going to be drawing today is of Pinepaw's first battle. I think it's interesting because later during his leadership, he leads his clan into so many more battles, always fighting in the thickest of it. In fact, Pinestar lost 7 of his 9 lives in battle defending his clanmates, which I think is amazing. So for this scene, there's a bit of background that's pretty interesting. Pinepaw is on a tour of ThunderClan's territory with his mentor Mistpelt, and we get to see two lakes in bright orange working on building a tunnel under Thunderpath that connects ThunderClan and ShadowClan. It's interesting because this is the first bit of construction that happens on this road that will later lead to it becoming a huge freeway, which will destroy the territory and make the clans have to move to the lake territory. I'll read this part from the book to you guys now. It's Pinestar's Choice, pages 121 and 122. He followed his mentor along the territory border, a few tail lengths from the rumbling Thunderpath. The gritty scent of monsters clung to every leaf and blade of grass, and Pinepaw wasn't looking forward to cleaning it off his fur later. Ahead of him, Mistpelt halted abruptly. Her ears pricked. Pinepaw could see flashes of bright orange between the trees, and throaty two-leg bellows cut through the growl of monsters. "We'll have to go around them," Mistpelt whispered. "I don't think they'll be interested in us, but let's not take any risks." She crouched down and crawled into the bracken, away from the Thunderpath and cluster of two-legs who stood at the edge. Pinepaw hung back, trying to peer through the trunks to see what they were doing. They all had on shiny orange pelts and hard white hats that reflected the sun. 2 of them were standing in a muddy hole at the end of the Thunderpath. Another was prodding the ground with a stick. "Come on!" Mistpelt hissed in Pinepaw's ear, making him jump. He'd been so busy watching the two-legs he hadn't even heard his mentor return. "What are you waiting for?" "I was trying to see what they're up to," Pinepaw whispered back. "Curious apprentices get their noses bitten," Mistpelt teased. "Oakstar sent a patrol here last night. It looks like the two-legs are digging a tunnel under the Thunderpath, where it gets very boggy." "Cool," breathed Pinepaw. His mentor looked at him. "Hardly. We don't want to make it easy for ShadowClan to wander into our territory, do we?" Her tone was dry, and Pinepaw ducked his head, feeling foolish. 1 moon later, what Mistpelt said about ShadowClan comes true when a small group of them sneak in and try to attack ThunderClan. Luckily, Pinepaw overhears them and helps drive them off. I'm going to be reading this part from the book now. If you guys want to follow along, it's Pinestar's Choice, pages 127 through 130. "Shush!" Pinepaw looked around. Who had said that? Flashpaw had vanished, and he seemed to be alone among the ferns.
"Get off of my tail!"
hissed a different voice.
"Do you want to let the whole ThunderClan know we're here?"
That wasn't one of his clanmates. Were they being invaded? This close to the Thunderpath, the scent of leaves and prey were mostly smothered by the stench of monsters. But today, there was something else. The faintest hint of a cat scent he hadn't smelled before. His pelt bristled along his spine. He prowled towards the bush where he'd heard the voices. Pinepaw glimpsed flashes of brown, gray, and orange fur, and a glint of unsheathed claws. He lost his chance to creep up on them now. "Intruders!" he yelled, spinning around, racing towards where he had left the rest of his patrol. "Come quick!" Dowfeather leapt out in front of him, her fur standing on end, a splash of blood on her muzzle where she'd just made her successful catch. "Where?" she demanded. "In those brambles!" "Wait here!" "ThunderClan warriors, to me!" The undergrowth around Pinepaw came alive as Mistpelt, Squirrel Whisker, Daisypaw, and Littlepaw burst out. Mistpelt paused beside Pinepaw. "What's going on?" "We're being invaded!" Squirrel Whisker sniffed the air and bared her teeth. "A ShadowClan patrol's come through that wretched tunnel! Come on, let's chase them back where they came from!" As she raced away with Littlepaw on her heels, Mistpelt meowed, "Pinepaw! Go to the camp for more warriors!" Then she disappeared after her clanmates. Pinepaw was about to plunge into the bracken towards the camp when something struck him. He was sure that he'd only seen 3 or 4 cats among the brambles. That meant they were already outnumbered by the ThunderClan patrol. Rather than waste time by fetching more cats, why didn't he go and join the others and give chase now before the intruders got too far into the forest? Whirling around, he set off after his mentor. A volley of yowls and hisses told him that the invaders had been confronted. Pinepaw launched himself through the dense thicket of elder and scrambled out on the other side. In the small clearing, the rest of the patrol faced 4 ShadowClan warriors. Their heads were lowered and their tails lashed from side to side. Pinepaw gaped at the moment, struck by how lean and strong the ShadowClan cats looked, how calm and ready for battle. Then he looked at his own clanmates, standing their ground with their fur bristling. He knew which side he wanted to fight on. He bounded over to stand beside Mistpelt, who hissed, "I told you to fetch help!" That would take too long. I can be of more use here, Pinepaw whispered back. He sank his claws into the damp earth and ran through every battle move in his head. Little Paw touched him with the tip of his tail. Fight alongside me. We'll cause more trouble if we're together. Pinepaw nodded and shifted closer to the black and white Tom. You want us to leave? Sneered one of the Shadow Clan warriors, an orange and gray she-cat with mean amber eyes. You'll have to make us. We will, Dowfeather retorted. She sprang at the intruder, clearing the gap with a single stride. At once the other Shadow Clan cats rushed forward, and the Thunder Clan cats leaped to meet them. Pinepaw and Little Paw threw themselves at the light brown Tom with a distinctive snaggletooth. Pinepaw clung to the warrior's neck while Little Paw nipped at his ears. The cat flung him to the ground, dislodging Little Paw, but Pinepaw held on, sinking his claws into the warrior's fur. When the cat tried to roll over and crush him, Pinepaw sprang sideways, and then jumped back onto the warrior's shoulders and scrambled to his paws. Nice move, Little Paw panted, ducking around to bite the Shadow Clan cat's tail. The warrior let a yell and staggered. Pinepaw took the opportunity to cuff the broad head, and the cat sank to his knees. On the other side of the clearing, Miss Pelt was snarling at a dark gray Tom, blood dripping from the she-cat's ear, but her eyes were fierce as she lashed at the intruder. He tried to step back, but was blocked by a bramble, trapped. He could only duck as Miss Pelt rained blows on his head. Go, Miss Pelt! Yelled Pinepaw. The orange and gray cat rolled away from Dowfeather and stood up. Shadow Clan warriors! Retreat! The Shadow Clan warriors turned and sprinted away. Dowfeather charged after them, and the rest of the patrol fell in behind. In spite of his scratches and bruised paws, Pinepaw felt himself fly over the ground. We won! They chased the intruders all the way to the tunnel under the thunder path, then stopped just beyond the turned-up earth and watched them flounder back into the damp-smelling hole. And stay out! Dowfeather screeched. There was a rustle of bracken on the far side of the thunder path as the Shadow Clan cats emerged. Then silence. Even the thunder path was empty and quiet, save for the panting of the Thunder Clan warriors. Miss Pelt nudged Pinepaw, and he looked at her. You fought well, youngster. Your father will be very proud. Pinepaw felt his pelt grow hot with pride. Dowfeather nodded. Good decision to stay with us. Brave, too. We'll make a leader of you yet, Pinepaw. Just wait and see. Make a leader out of him they shall. I think it's kind of wrong for the cats in the clan to get stuck in the rut of having a leader, have kids, and then making their kids become leader. What if that's not what the kids want? I don't know. Maybe leaders shouldn't be allowed to have kids, just like medicine cats for that reason. What are some leaders that made their kin into their deputies that you think should not have? I think Ragged Star and his son Broken Star was the worst one, because Broken Star killed his dad to become leader. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But I'd love to hear in the comment section down below some others. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure to go and check out the video over on the side of my last speed paint, and click that subscribe button so you can always be notified when I make my next video. Alright guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you soon with the next speed paint. Bye bye!